Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Kitchen and Culture, presented to you by Croatia Culture Society. We are a small non-profit society promoting inclusion and diversity and raising awareness against prejudice and discrimination. My name is Deniz Ünsal. I'm one of the board members. This show is being produced on the ancestral lands of Esquimalt and Songhees nations of the Lithuanian people. I am a settler and immigrant on these lands, and this show is about sharing the immigration stories of people living in Victoria. And what a better way to share these stories than over food and eating. We're going to eat the food at the end of the show. You will just witness how we cook it. So our chef will show us a very delicious recipe. So without further ado, let me introduce our chef today, Jakelina Listes.
Hello everybody. My name is Jakelina Listes, as Denise introduced me.
Yeah. So, give us a bit of a background to yourself, Jakelina.
Originally I came from Croatia about 20 years ago. I lived in a couple of different provinces, Ontario, Alberta, BC. Last 6 years I've been living in Langford. I currently work for Department of National Defense. I have my other business, which we'll talk about later, and it's showcasing this beautiful jewelry that I have.
Yes.
And today I'll be presenting Croatian cuisine for the larger Victoria community.
Wonderful. So what are you going to cook? Tell us a bit about that.
So today I'm cooking a meal that is called black risotto, or in Croatian, crni risotto. It is a fish-based meal with traditionally made with cuttle fish and cuttle fishing. Today we'll do it slightly different. We'll use squids because cuttlefish is not really available in Canada. So I know that this dish is not very familiar for most people in Canada. It's very kind of exotic. It comes from Mediterranean area, so it's more common in Italy, probably Spain, Portugal, Croatia.
Yeah. And people might know risotto, but not specifically
this kind. Yeah.
Okay. So are you going to introduce us to the ingredients maybe? What do we have here?
So the meal itself it doesn't have too many ingredients. They're fairly straightforward, except one thing that is rarely used in Canada in the cuisine, which is squid ink or cuttlefish ink. So this is the kind of secret ingredient for, not secret, but
the exotic,
yeah. And then we have squid, shrimps, they're in the fridge, olive oil, the better, some wine, garlic, onions, parsley, rice.
Okay. And then you have in here, what do you have in here?
So yeah, these are kind of like not the main ingredients, but a little bit of Parmesan and a butter, which is customary put in every risotto.
Okay.
Parsley, of course, as spice and decoration.
Okay. Cool.
And of course, pepper, salt.
All right. So what is special about this dish? Do you eat this or cook it on occasions, special occasions?
Black risotto is traditionally in Croatia eaten on a special occasions such as weddings, anniversaries, celebration like a first communion or something like that. It's not something we eat every day, so it has a special meaning. But because of tourism, it's available in many restaurants during the year, especially in summertime. So it has kind of both sides of it, right?
Okay. So can you say a little bit about the fish? Because that was a question in the beginning. We were discussing like, where are you going to find that special fish? Can you talk about that a bit? Like,
yeah. So as I said before, original recipe comes with cuttlefish, which is really not something available in Canada. So the other version comes with squid. Of course, it's always best to buy fresh fish, squid including, which is also very difficult here. As I looked everywhere, you can't find fresh squid, so you have to buy frozen. And I managed to find a frozen squid from California, which I kind of prefer to buy something as close as it can be to where we live than something, imported from China or Vietnam. So these California calamaris are available at Superstore. I will also use shrimps just to add that little bit second flavor to the dish.
Okay.
And shrimps are available everywhere, so that's not a really a big a problem. The squid ink is very hard to find in Victoria also because people don't use it, so a lot of stores don't sell it because it goes bad. And I managed to find this at the Italian store on Blanchard Street, so very close to where we are now. This is a very big jar with like a lot of doses of ink that will last for a long time. And it keeps well in the fridge, so we'll see how it goes.
Whole year you can eat the black risotto.
Yeah.
Cool. So how much rice do we have here?
So as the recipe says, we have 300 grams of rice. Give or take a few grams, that's fine.
How about fish?
Fish, the original recipe comes with 1 kilo of fish, which is 1 kilo of the uncleaned fish, right? So you have to, if you have unclean fish, you have to clean it, obviously, which is a little bit tedious and a little bit of work. I bought these squids, they were frozen and they were not cleaned, so I cleaned them at home, semi-frozen, which was okay. Just take the insides out and try to keep as much flesh as possible.
Okay. And then you have 1 onion and you will use some garlic.
Yeah, well, 1 onion big. This is pretty big. We can probably use half of this because this is pretty big. And I'll use one of these garlic.
Okay. And how much wine are you going to put?
Wine will have 100 milliliters. Giving a little bit more is fine. It's not going to hurt anybody.
All right. So shall we start?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. And
so first thing I'm going to do is put some oil in the pan. And we're going to measure approximately 100 milliliters of oil or a couple of tablespoons. Doesn't have to, this recipe is one of those that you don't have to precisely follow to the T, because a little bit more oil or a little bit more wine or fish is not going to make this dish bad. It's going to make it better.
Okay.
So we are going to put olive oil into the pan, and I'm not going to heat the oil yet because I want to cut onions.
All right. So if you were making this dish in Croatia, where would you buy your fish?
So in Croatia, we're very lucky because where I come from, it's a city on the Adriatic Sea, and we have big fish markets where you can buy fresh fish from that same day.
Oh, nice.
So normally, if I was back home, I would go to the fish market, buy whatever I want to do that day, and go home, clean it, and use it. And definitely, there is a huge difference between super fresh fish and frozen one.
Yeah.
So yeah, but in the absence of fresh stuff, we have to improvise and buy frozen one.
Yes.
Sometimes it's really good too.
That's right.
So I'm gonna cut this onion as small as I can.
Okay, so you're using only half of the onion.
Yeah, this one is pretty
big. We have a huge onion.
Yeah, so I'm gonna use half.
All right.
And for those people who don't want to cut this by hand, please use the chopping machine. That's fine. It saves you time and trouble.
Yeah. I hope this won't make us cry.
Pretty good so far.
All right. You are from, well, Croatia is on the Mediterranean. So that is something we share in common. I also grew up in the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful sea, which means it has also very diverse vegetation.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So can you tell us a bit about, what grows in Croatia, what kind of ingredients go in the culinary, in the dishes in Croatia?
Since we're talking about sea, a lot of food that from the place where I grew up is based on the seafood, and fish that we have in Croatia is somewhat different than what you can find in the Pacific or Atlantic Ocean, or northern, like Scandinavia and northern seas.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of sardines, shrimp, squids, other fish that we call bluefish, which is opposite of whitefish. So sardines, anchovies, and
so they're actually smaller
mackerels,
fish, right?
And then there's also big stuff like some sort of sharks that people eat, or tuna.
Okay.
We don't have salmon, but a lot of shells, a lot of others.
Mussels and stuff.
Yeah, octopus, stuff like that.
Yeah. And how are they cooked? Are they grilled, or are they mixed with like this with pasta and risotto?
Well, honestly, the fish is, in my opinion, and in many other people, is best when it's super fresh and grilled and prepared with a minimum temperature. Yeah, just very short preparation and something very basic and clean, because the flavor is there. You don't need a lot of things to make it.
And small fish you probably also fry, is that right?
A lot of those, like a small anchovies or something that's fried, and you just eat them as a snack.
Yeah, that's nice.
I mean, I love that stuff, so I can talk about that for a while. But other than fish, we have many other types of dishes, depending on the parts of country. On the coast, we have a lot of food that kind of resembles Italian cuisine in a lot of ways, like pasta, risottos, gnocchis.
It's going in your eyes now. Right?
Yeah, it is. Now it's getting. So can you please put heat and
is this good?
I think we'll go. We want to start slow. The pot that I have today is a cast iron pot, and it heats up really well. So once it's really hot, we have to put the temperature down, otherwise it's going to burn. So my onions are ready. When the oil is ready, I'm going to put onions in. And now I'm going to peel a couple of these garlic cloves. Because we need a lot of garlic for this. I don't know much about geography and where it is. It's kind of southern east part of Europe, bordering with Italy, Austria, Hungary, Serbia, Bosnia. Did I forget something? Montenegro, Slovenia. Yeah. So we're kind of in the middle of the Europe, facing Adriatic Sea, and other parts are. Oh, there's some mountain range and a lot of flatland, such as Saskatchewan or Alberta. These parts, they have slightly different culinary habits and slightly different stuff they eat. Okay, there's more heavily influenced by Eastern European cuisines or Austro-Hungarian. For example, a lot of stews such as goulash or a fish stew. That is or schnitzel or sour cabbage, sarma. Yeah, so that's something that's very common in Eastern Europe. And then throughout Croatia, we have a lot of food that kind of is originated from when we were ruled by Ottoman Emperor. And Denise will know these foods like kebabs, dolmas, sarma, and our favorite street food, burek.
Oh my God.
Which is like a filo pastry version.
Like a finger
dough,
food,
yeah,
right?
and it's filled with cheese or meat or potato, zucchini,
or parsley sometimes.
Yeah, anything,
really
anything you put inside it, it turns out good. It's available like on every bakery in every corners of our cities.
Nice. So I think this is ready to
go.
Oh,
it's ready. Yeah, awesome. So now just cutting garlic very small, and I'm gonna put my onions inside. And it might look like there is a lot of oil, but the onions and everything will seep the onions inside, and and it will be very creamy and nice. So,
okay. So there are also, you told me once, there are people who are making their own wine as well. In Croatia.
Yeah. We're like very famous for making everything you can make at home. Make it yourself, like your own wine, your own grappa, liquors, olive oil, preserves. I don't know many other things. I might not remember everything, but a lot of people. They have their own vineyards. They have like country places in the country, like cottages and vineyards and olive tree gardens.
So it's a Mediterranean climate, of course. You have warm summers, probably, right?
Yeah, very warm summers.
Evenings are warm. Sometimes nights are even warm.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
and mild winters.
Mild winters.
So now I have pre-cleaned squid. So I don't know if this is visible, but this is the squid, how it should look like, to have this little bit of skin.
Okay.
And I already cleaned it at home because, like I said before, it was frozen and it was not clean.
Okay.
So now I'm gonna cut it into like chunks of probably this size. This is good. It's not too big, it's not too small. Probably good idea is not to make it too small because it does shrink when it cooks, so it becomes very small.
Okay, so how do you clean a squid? It's a very interesting animal, so how do you what is a good way to clean it?
So this morning, when I cleaned this batch that I have now, they were like a whole piece with the tentacles and the head. And because they were kind of frozen, I just kind of squished the insides out. It was super easy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when they are fresh, it's a little bit more complicated because it can be really messy. So, word of advice would be use to clean it under the running water or in a big bowl of water, and you just do it inside.
Okay.
So it doesn't spray it can be really kind of.
So when you
messy.
buy this in Croatia, does the fisherman clean it for you?
Yeah, if you want, they can do that. Or if you don't want to pay extra or you don't mind cleaning, you go home and you do it yourself.
Okay.
And I think we talked about this during a rehearsal, how squid is one of those things that you have to cook either very, very short or very long.
Yeah.
Not very long, but kind of either super short or a little bit longer, because if you just do it in between, it's not gonna be soft. It's gonna be rubbery.
Yeah.
If it's overcooked, it becomes dry.
Okay.
So it's kind of, if it's in the sauce like risotto, it's even better to cook it a little bit longer than less, because it can be very rubbery.
Now I can already see the color is changing.
Yeah,
right?
that's
becoming like
great.
Light pink. Or like even
I have
white.
to wash my hands
Okay.
after fish.
So you can make this with squid. Is there anything else you can use to make this risotto?
Sorry. like I mentioned in the beginning, originally this comes with a cuttlefish. So that's what we use. Cuttlefish is something between octopus and squid. It's a little bit bigger than squid.
Okay.
It's rounder, fatter, and it has a big sack of ink inside. That's why this idea of using risotto for this came.
Yeah.
So people would use the sack with the ink from inside.
Okay, you don't have to buy it if you have.
Yeah, no. With the fresh fish, that's how you do it. You clean the fish, you use the sack, put it aside, and then do this like.
So everyone can clean a cuttlefish and remove that sack without destroying. Is that like?
Well, that
is
a little bit tricky because it's a very kind of thin membrane that has that sack. Okay. So you have to be careful not to poke it with a knife or something,
because it will be all black then. Okay.
Yeah, but it's just a matter of, I guess, practice and being a little bit careful and paying attention. So now we are simmering these squids, and they're already
they're curling.
Yeah, they're curling and they're changing the color.
Yeah.
And now it's good time to add some wine to this.
Okay. So how much wine are you adding?
We in the recipe have like 100 milliliters of wine. Again, a little bit more is fine. We are going to cook it and it's gonna evaporate, so that's totally fine.
Okay. The smell is
good,
changing.
Right?
Yes, it's not smelling.
So now I have another layer of this.
Yeah.
So now I'm putting tomato paste.
Okay.
And we'll mix that. Normally, you don't need to buy this big of a can of this. If you do it the traditional way, it will come in the fish, and you wouldn't need this much. So, they used to sell it in the small packets, like a plastic, like this size.
Oh yeah, because
it would be exactly 1 tablespoon, exactly for 1 meal.
Okay.
Like I said, it is not something you can easily buy here. So this is all I found, and I was, forced to take it.
How long does it last, do you think? If you keep it in the fridge, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I didn't see any like this on this bottle. It says it's good till, I think,
it gives you some time.
2025.
Okay.
So I think it can stay in the fridge for some while at least. So now I'm gonna put 1 tablespoon of this.
Oh.
And you can see it's very thick and very black.
Yes. It's really ink.
Yeah. And
it changes the color immediately.
It would be great if people can see how it's turning very black.
My God. It's becoming really black.
Yeah. And one thing that we, in our rehearsal, that we established was that this thing is very salty. So be careful with how much salt you put in.
Yes.
I made a mistake. I put too much salt last time. It was a little bit on the border of being too salty.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm looking at a very black pot right now. And the squid is... actually, the squid is not turning black. It's still kind of keeping its same color.
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to put the rice in. We have 300 grams of rice. Hopefully it will seep a lot of this blackness, so it's going to be more dark.
Okay, stirring it.
So I made some stock at home. Ideally, it will be to use a fish stock, which is possible to make if you have like some fish heads or shells from squids, shrimps, and things like that, and with some root vegetables and parsley, bay leaf, olive oil. So that fish stock would be best, but that's not always available, so we can use vegetable stock, and that's what I have here.
All right, so so you're going to put this several times, right?
Yes, so I'm going to do this in stages. Once this liquid kind of, the rice soaks the liquid, then I'm going to add more, and when I kind of have a feeling that it's done, and we can tell if it's done just by kind of seeing the rice how it looks, but also just trying it and see if it's cooked enough. It should be done al dente, which means that it shouldn't be mushy, but it should be still like
Crunchy,
a bite kind of. So when you bite, you feel it, right?
Yeah.
We can add some pepper. Obviously, pepper is fine. The more, the better.
All right.
So now I'm gonna move this away,
Okay.
because I'm gonna make shrimps quickly.
All right.
Okay, so we're gonna put a little bit of olive oil. So I bought some shrimps that were already pre-cleaned. They're actually small, which is good. And we're gonna
How
put
much do you have here?
about 20 pieces, because they were smaller. If anybody wants to try just a big shrimps that are not clean, you know, the ones in the shell with the head, that will be very good. Awesome.
Okay, so
this will
without
do.
cleaning.
And these shrimps, they don't take long time to cook. Obviously, they're really small, and shrimps just take a minute. Basically, when they turn pink, you flip them, and that's it. They're done.
Okay.
I'm gonna use a fork because it's easier for me. I'm used to that.
Yeah. So now our shrimp is baking,
Yeah.
and it's actually turning a little bit white. Yeah.
So now we're gonna we have to add butter to that risotto. So I have like 2 tablespoons, tablespoons of butter, and we're gonna add that to risotto now when it's not cooking anymore.
Come on. So 2 spoons of butter at the top.
Yep.
And then
that has to be mixed very fast.
Oh, okay. Because you want it to melt and kind of go all around, right? Maybe I'll do this. You take care of the.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
This is why you need 2 people to cook.
Ah,
No?
that would be nice, but it doesn't always work like that.
Oh. Okay, so I'm just stirring it, and it became really creamy.
Yeah. And we usually add butter to risotto to make it more creamy and taste better. Right?
Okay, it's all melted. So shall I cover it again?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Oh my God, it smells very good. So the shrimps are all kind of, they got smaller and they curled up.
They are done.
Yes.
Actually, they take only like very short time.
Okay. Oh, so you're not going to put them here
not yet.
when you're serving, maybe. Okay.
Let's keep them there.
I'll bring the pot. You want to put it there?
Oh yeah, this is stainless steel. It's fine.
There you go.
So as you can see, this is how it looks. It's pretty dark. Some people like it even darker, so they put much more of this ink. I've heard some people say it doesn't look appealing, and I mean, frankly, it's not a prettiest looking meal. That's for sure. It looks, I know some people will find it like off-putting because the way it looks.
Just close your eyes and eat it.
But you know,
tastes good.
It's maybe color.
I mean, if you are smelling now what I am smelling, it's just, I don't know. I feel like I'm producing some saliva.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll put shrimps on the top, such as this.
Oh, it's very good. And is this the way you would serve, like always in this long version?
No, just depends on this. Okay. This is where the creativity comes.
Okay,
there's no rules. Exactly.
But so do you have these kinds of pots at home, or it looks like a fish, to serve fish? No.
Okay. It has to be versatile to.
Yeah, maybe I'm looking for too much.
Yeah.
I never.
I don't make too much fish here because frankly I can't find all that stuff that I like, and some of the things like halibut which we like, it can be very expensive, so it's not something you can do every day.
Yeah, that's right.
Unfortunately, that's how it is. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of parmesan.
Smells very good.
And hopefully we can take a look and see how it looks like as a finished product.
Looks good.
So voila.
Okay, so here we are back with Jakelina Listes, who is our chef on this Kitchen and Culture series, and now this is our interview with her. This was a delicious, well, it is delicious because I ate it already and I know how it tastes, but you have a beautiful presentation here. So thank you very much for joining our program and having and sharing this with us. On this part, I'd like to know, before you immigrated to Canada, what was your life like? What were you doing in Croatia?
I came here first time in 2001. At that time, I was working in Bosnia, actually, for NATO as an interpreter for different military contingents, troops in Bosnia after the war. That's where I met my husband, and that's why I came to Canada. in a very short summary.
Yeah. So, but you were an interpreter, and there were, of course, because of the war, there were a lot of international, I guess, teams. And from different nations. So he's a Canadian, so that's how you met him.
Yeah.
And you came here. How did you, those early days, how were they?
You mean coming to Canada?
Yeah.
Early days, First time when I came here, I was a tourist. I just met my future husband. I came, to see, what is life in Canada like? How is this relationship gonna go? So obviously, I have never been to outside of Europe before that. So everything was a big thing because first time I flew with a plane. Other than Split Zagreb, which is like 40 minutes. So it was such a long flight. I came to Edmonton, obviously shocked. I came in on Halloween, I think it was Halloween day. And the winter was obviously horrible, brutal. Alberta winter. So that was a big shock.
Yeah, you landed.
And just the city, everything was big, spread, different. Everything was 100% different.
Okay.
And it was, kind of a shock to the system, and a lot of discovering, learning.
So when you settled in Edmonton, how was that first year? Did you meet friends, or what were you doing? How did you feel?
I came back to Edmonton in 2003, in the fall. Actually, I was in Ontario for couple of months, and then I came to Edmonton. It was also very, very brutal winter that year. I remember it was about minus 40 1 week in January. Ooh. And when I talked to my family back home and my friends, they couldn't believe we are still alive. I was like, how is it possible you're alive in minus 40? It was like, where I'm from, minus 40 is like, you might as well say minus 100 because it never goes below zero. Almost never. I don't remember ever was that cold. So it was something else. At that time when I came back second time, I had my daughter already. So I came with a small child, and my husband was military until 2 years ago. So that was very challenging. Kind of didn't really know what's going on, how is this gonna work. It was hard. I don't have any relatives in Edmonton, or I have some in the Toronto area. But when I came there, I didn't know anybody. I did kind of join the Croatian community via church that they have there, and that's for Croatian people and many other communities. That's the kind of the starting point where you go and meet people from your own country,
speak your own language. Probably.
Yeah, churches, community halls, things like that. So that was my contact in Edmonton. I met some people through church. We lived there for maybe 3 years, and then we moved to Comox.
Okay.
In Comox, there's no Croatian community. There is no immigrant community whatsoever. There's very few people who are not senior retirees. Especially in 2006, when I was there, it was predominantly small town full of retired people.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm at that time I was still a younger person. That was not a very exciting place to live for a younger person. Nothing much to do.
Yeah. Were you able to find, I don't know, young mothers with young children that you could socialize with?
I mean, I tried. I met some people through school where my daughter went through. But I always found that cultural differences were just too big for people to get over some stuff, or for me to understand them enough and to properly understand social dynamics. Mm-hmm. For example, like people are very polite and they will always say, "Oh yeah, we should get together. Let's get coffee one day." And when you say that in Croatia, that means you're gonna do it, like 100%. But here I learned that's just a polite way to say, "Oh, you know."
Yeah.
To be polite, basically, but that doesn't mean that people are actually gonna call you.
Yeah, when they say see
actually,
you
if you do it, they think it's weird. So
okay.
I think I learned that way. Like, oh, okay, that doesn't actually mean that. So trying to connect to people to different ways, it wasn't very successful in Comox. After that, we moved to Ontario, to also a small town. Also, same situation.
Yeah. Difficult.
Difficult. Small town, I find that it has its own dynamic. Most people, they know each other from high school. It's kind of like everybody knows each other. They have their own lifestyle and connections, and you're just outsider. And it's really hard to break into that. And so
to build a community.
Yeah, it wasn't greatest experience at all. 6 years ago, we came to Victoria, and that's where I really saw a dramatic change in a city itself, in kind of mentality, lifestyle.
In the last 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's Victoria. When we lived in Comox, we would come to Victoria a couple of times a year as a visitors to see, and we really liked the city. Especially, I liked it because it reminds me of Europe. It has that European vibe, and it's not too big, but it's not too small.
Yes, human size.
Yeah, it's good. You have diversity of people and things, and like a nice downtown.
It doesn't snow as much, so there's an outdoor.
Oh yeah, the weather compared to other parts is great. But mostly, I found a really great group of people here that are like, experiencing same issues. People from all over the world. We mentioned before, I have viewers from Brazil. Yeah, I have some friends from Brazil, Argentina, Italy, France.
Yeah.
A couple of Croatian friends, even people from different parts of like ex-Yugoslavia, Serbians, Bosnians.
Yeah.
And maybe a few Canadian friends too.
Okay.
But very diverse, large.
A diverse friend community. Yeah.
You can only find in big cities.
Yeah, that's right. So you're telling a lot about moving from one place to the other. And, you used to be a translator. Were you ever able to pick up where you left in your career?
Oh, no. Like, my language is not needed here in any capacity. So there is no really opportunity to do something like that. I had to find other ways of how to do something for myself, or even find some employment that wasn't classic, first generation immigrant kind of retail or fast food or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I did work in those in retail for a while, just because I didn't have any other opportunity. I didn't have any Canadian experience. I came with my background working for NATO, UN, and European Community Organization for Cooperation and Security.
Okay.
But because that's a very niche kind of thing to do, there isn't many equivalents in Canada that they were accessible to me on that level. So I had to figure out what to do, and like I didn't want to work in something like in a store for a long time or whatever. I wanted to do something more. So at the end, I figured out, okay, you have to go back to school because my education from Croatia is not really nothing spectacular and it's been a long time, doesn't translate to anything useful here.
What did you study in Croatia?
Just like administration law, loosely translated, something like that.
Okay.
Which I don't really like, so I didn't want to pursue that at all. And life is ironic, so I ended up working in administration. After all, I work for government
so
right now.
But
I had some slightly different idea. I decided to become a social worker, so I went back to school.
Okay.
I studied social work for 4 years. I have a bachelor degree in social work. Really like going to school at older age.
Yeah.
It is. I went to school when I was 29, and huge difference than when I was in my 20s. Like I was in it to learn, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
But I changed 3 schools because we moved 3 times when I started, and when I finished, we moved 3 times. So it was
you can compare. That's
it is such a journey. When I came here, I tried to look for the social work job. It wasn't as simple as I thought it would be. So I didn't find anything, and somewhere around 2016, I unfortunately discovered that I have a cancer. So that kind of pushed all my plans in a different direction. But when I came to Victoria, I was really active in finding opportunities to volunteer and because I realized that's a good way to learn about the place where you live, about people, and to meet people and connect with them. So
volunteering, right?
I started to volunteer for works in ICM on different capacity in different projects. I really saw opportunity in Victoria to do something different on my own. So I kind of had the idea to start a little social enterprise for women. This immigration area is really a big area of my interest, and I wanted to work as a social worker with immigrants.
Okay.
Because I really understand this topic and everything.
You have the experience. Like
exactly. So, in all that, my experience and knowledge, it became clear to me that women are in a special position, especially older immigrant women or those who have kids and are not able to find employment, especially women who don't speak English very good or at all. So when I came to volunteer for works, they had some kind of group for women that was not formed exactly, and they gave me free hands to make something of it, and I made a sewing group. And sewing turned out to be a really nice little activity that a lot of women can do, even those who never did it, because you're not sewing for some big brand. You're sewing for yourself, for fun, just to do something, to hang out with other people.
Very much like cooking, right?
Yeah.
You just talk
exactly.
As well.
I was going to judge you. So we did that, and it was nice. It was going on for about 2 years. In the meantime, I kind of wanted to make it more professional, bigger, better. So I pestered some of the people I know. One of them is Sylvia. So I know Sylvia from joint volunteer work for ICA, And Sylvia was always like really vocal and like really to the point, and I was like, this is my kind of woman. I like this.
Yeah, sounds like
Yeah, like okay, great. So I talked to her. I'm like, I have this idea. What do you think? Do you want to join me? Kind of like, She's like, let me think about it. She came back to me and said like, yeah, let's do something.
Let's do it.
And she was also freshly graduated from UVic. So yeah, we connected and we started this nonprofit. Had a lot of ideas what to do. Everything was revolving on the same population of immigrant women. And this was at a time when a lot of refugees started to come to Victoria after the debacle in Syria. So we had big influx of Syrian refugees. And they really needed something like this, somebody who can offer them something to do. Because most of them, they had such a big shock coming here. They didn't speak any English. They were the culture, everything was so different, and it was clear that they will have such a hard time finding anybody who will employ them.
Yeah. But was this an employment-oriented project?
That was our idea.
Okay.
However, you cannot. We were a bit naive, I think, and kind of like, oh yeah, we have all this energy and goodwill, and let's do something. But we learned that you need much more. Like we were nobodies, so to speak, in terms of connections or established work. Nobody knew who we are. Like, we went around, talked to everybody. Everybody was listening, and yeah, nice, good for you. But we didn't receive a lot of support, not from the people with resources and decision-making powers.
Yeah.
So that leaves you with very little resources, with support from people like, common people like us, good-willing people. But it's hard. It's a catch-22 with this non-profit stuff. Like you need to be established in order to get money, but how do you establish yourself with the resources? It's impossible. Yeah. It's it breaks my mind. Anyways, we tried our best. Things happened. I got sick. Couldn't really do this stuff, and at the end we decided that the best thing to do is to salvage what can be saved from our work. So Sylvia decided to take senior care and make like a little business of it, which she, I believe, still runs.
Yeah.
And then I kept sewing group just as a side project, doing some other stuff. And we had some successes, but it's right now.
It might happen.
It's gone.
It might happen.
So
what was it?
It takes energy to do that.
I know. What was it that you sensed was missing in the lives of those immigrant women?
Oh, everything. In them, I saw something like, it reminds me of a tropical plant where you uproot it and put it somewhere else. And I mean, it was such a big shock. And I know for myself how difficult it was. And I spoke English like pretty decently, right? And I understood. And my husband is Canadian. But for them, I think it was 100 times
difficult,
harder.
Yeah.
Like not understanding like some basic stuff, how things function here was for example, like just let's say how you go on a market and sell your stuff, like that.
Even the simple things.
Yeah,
the simplest things. Yeah.
In Middle East they do it differently. There's more like, not to mention when I try to explain non-profit situation, they don't even know what non-profit is, because it's not a common term or common thing in a lot of parts of the world, right? Yeah. There's NGOs and they're usually big and different, but this small kind of thing, and
or there's the state.
Yeah. So this is like, what is that? It's there's been so many, but this is a very broad topic, right? Yeah. We can talk about that a lot, but I would say so many things. Language, the cultural shock, just the way they look and people stare at them. The fact that some of them couldn't really be in the same room with a man, and learning all those things. It was a lot of like navigation and learning. And I mean, I learned a lot of about everything from this experience.
So after 20 years, what does it mean to be an immigrant to you?
In my case, I can say I'm more balanced now between two cultures, two countries, two societies, whatever. I got the best that I can from both cultures. I hope so.
Yeah.
That was my kind of goal in all these years, to adopt whatever is good here and to preserve whatever good I brought from my home country.
Yeah.
And just to, there's no reason to have one or the other. You can have both. Like, why not? Like, it's just a matter of how you put things in your head.
So, I mean, if you have to say, like, this is Croatian in me, what would those be?
Just talking like this, I don't know, very passionate in some ways.
The spirit.
Kind of communication style is
socializing.
Yeah, sometimes people kind of, you're like too much, but
talking too much with your hands.
Or whatever. Like for example, I'm not gonna use the language I use at home, but I like to swear a lot. That's a very Croatian thing.
About passionate, why not?
Yeah. In my country, in my language, swearing is kind of like almost like catchphrases. It's not always in a negative way. It's just a kind of spice to the language.
Yeah. Yes, I
and it's very
that
common.
Totally.
So I kept that, and for example.
Yeah. Okay. And what is the Canadian then?
What I really like in Canada is what I learned here is to be more polite, patient, considerate of other. I really like that people here take care of some stuff that, for example, in some other countries are not so important. Like,
it's not the priority.
Yeah, like animals. I really like how people here they love animals and they take care of them. They're very much kinder. Also, the treatment to people with various disabilities or tolerance of others, right?
Yeah.
More. I like that it's diverse, so I get to meet all these people from all over the world, which
and you can eat sushi,
and try different things. It's a very stable country, that's stable, secure. That's nice.
You can plan.
Well,
I don't know.
After my experience, we went through war and all that uncertain time post-war. It is sometimes very refreshing and easier to have stability and security. I mean, you don't have to worry that you're gonna lose your life or be subject to a fear or some stuff like that. Yeah. We won't talk about last 2 years because that's whole other
the last cycle. What happened? I don't know.
Yeah. In general. Yeah.
So looking back, what would you have done differently?
Yeah, I think we talked about this, and I said I would definitely go to school sooner than I did. And I would definitely start volunteering in a different capacity sooner than I did, because that opened a lot of doors for me that I really didn't know you can have.
Yeah.
I think that's something that was in my power. I could do other things. I'm not so sure. Yeah, it's hard to speak about, looking back 20 years ago.
Well, there's still time. I mean,
because
you'll still figure out things, I'm sure.
Yeah, at the end, everything is a learning experience, and even some stuff that wasn't so great, it taught you something. I guess it's worth for something. It gets you where you need to be, I guess. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
It's like cooking, right? You're simmering, like our rice.
Yeah.
You learn it.
And even if you make a mistake, you'll learn something from next time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so we have a few questions. Are you going to talk about your necklace?
Okay, so
I
can say a few words.
Is it a special necklace?
It is a special necklace. I collected all pieces of jewelry that were kind of misplaced, broken. This is Croatian traditional. This is from Afghanistan. My husband was there on tour, so he brought this lapis lazuli silver. This is a burrito from Guatemala.
It's multicultural.
Yeah, it's some gifts that I got from.
Did you make these yourself? Did you embroider?
My mom makes these.
Okay.
So it's a kind of mix of different places, times, cultures, people. This is what I do. I take stuff and put it together. So upcycling.
Yeah. So many cultures together, like immigrant experience.
Nice.
And another question: what do you like best about Victoria?
I think I said that before. Victoria is a good sized city, a very nice city. It reminds me of Europe. It's on the ocean. I love being by the sea. It has nice downtown, nice restaurants, interesting people. It has events like occasional concerts, things I can go. So in Canada, I like it here, and that's why we decided to stay here and retire.
Oh, okay, join the club. And so are you visiting Croatia? I mean, maybe not now, but yeah?
Yeah, I go every year, almost every year I go. Yeah, I was last year, and I'm planning to go this year.
So how is it when you go back there? Like, is there like like trying to adjust again?
No, because I go every year. There's no, and I'm really involved. I follow all Croatian news. All my family is still there, all my friends, so I'm very connected.
Yeah,
I love going there. I completely feel like home.
Do you go anywhere else in the summer?
Oh yeah, I mean in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm on the beach, and don't need to really travel. But I go visit some other places in Croatia, and I would love to travel to Europe, but when I decided to do that, Corona came, and
because Croatia is very central, you can go everywhere.
Yeah.
Jakelina, this was very pleasant.
Okay, so I hope everybody is gonna, whoever made this dish, you're gonna like it. Don't judge it too hard if you don't like it, because it is a acquired taste. I have to say, not many people like squids and this kind of stuff, which is fine. Bon appetit.
Again, thank you to our contributors and supporters. Thank you to Shaw, thank you to Van City and Victoria Public Market. And thank you for those who are here looking forward to eat the food. So I guess we have to close the show. Okay. Well, stay tuned. Thank you. Bye.